We're going to get straight back into it now, and I'm going to invite Frank Soqui, who's the VP and GM of VR Gaming and Esports from Intel, and he's going to be bringing on his colleague Raj and Vinay from HTC. So do join us on stage, Frank. Thank you.
So first of all, hey, Nick, thanks for that kind introduction, but I want to say I feel like I'm privileged to be with you here today, and the reason I say I'm privileged because my belief is that we've all done some pretty amazing things in immersive technologies, immersive use cases, and business opportunities. We have come a long way, and you know, it's just been a really, really exciting year. And I think for a minute, just give yourselves a hand for that. You're just like, I'm so happy to be partnering with you guys. It's also a cheap way for me to feel like I got another set of applause, so I appreciate that. Thanks a lot. But it's been an exciting year. What we're doing is we're transforming sports, real sports. We're transforming esports. We're transforming entertainment. In some cases, we're transforming the healthcare system and surgeries. And I gotta tell you, it's not always been clear about what was going to go happen. It was fraught with risk. It's just some of us, it feels like a roller coaster ride. To some of us, it feels, I mean, there's been some hazards in the way. But by and large, I believe what's happened over this last year has been truly, truly amazing. When I think about some of the partnerships we've done and some of the firsts that we've done with our partners, we partnered with Oculus and ESL for the first amateur VR sports league. We partnered with the Olympics to bring 30 VR live events to audiences. And we've done a lot of work with the film industry to the point that one of the filmmakers that we were working with, this was the first time they were picked up for distribution at Sundance. So those material firsts where people are making money, solving real problems and bringing experiences, just been truly amazing year. That's why I'm really, really happy to be here. What I want to be able to do though is talk to you a little bit about what inspired us at the Sundance Film Festival. So I'm going to show you a little video on that. Can you roll that, please?
I want my stories to create a sense of wonder and awe.
I love the storytelling environment. That emotional connection comes through beautifully.
The story is at the core of our identity and our understanding of the intricacies of our life.
The future of storytelling is going to be ever-changing, ever-evolving. Intel is empowering storytellers to go new places, tell new kinds of stories, new forms. Here at the film festival, we're getting to see what that future looks like today.
Technology really kind of expands and magnifies our ability to communicate, and it also transforms how we communicate. I've watched this happen to our filmmakers. They, in turn, are constantly ravenously interested in technology. I see technology affecting and changing the way the stories are told.
Intel has been involved in the filmmaking side for a long time. Where we're at today is really around making our technology accessible to not only big studios, but also to everyday creators. We're bringing an ecosystem of technologies that really take the new wave of filmmaking and allows the storyteller to really focus more on their narrative and their craft.
It may feel familiar at first, but as these new technologies, AR, VR, machine learning, all these things start to get into the hands of the people who have really fascinating stories to tell, you're going to start to see interesting new forms.
In Sphere's Songs of Space-Time, we wanted to take you into the heart of a black hole and show you what that would look like if you were able to go there where no human has ever been before. It felt like virtual reality was the only medium that was possible to tell this story because you are fully immersed in a world where you get to activate all of your senses.
The filmmakers are telling stories in a way more sophisticated way so that the technology starts to disappear and then you are drawn into it. We become a part of the way that the story unfolds. We are an active participant.
What people are really expecting now is an experience that takes you in, but also pushes the boundaries of what's possible.
Your body is part of the medium through which you express and receive. It's almost half the story of the experience is how do you respond?
It's more about crafting a scenarios, putting the pieces into place that you then place your protagonist, which can be primary audience member, and then you just, knock over the dominoes and see where it goes.
We're able to really take this medium and use it as a way to explore these different universes, different worlds, and make you a character in that story.
Yeah, that was truly inspirational for me, being associated with what's happening at Sundance and some of the possibilities of storytelling. Some of the key messages in there are about how technology is actually bringing us the power to change not only the way we do storytelling, but the levels of interactivity, the types of productivity, the types of learning and location-based kind of entertainment we can experience. The other part was, I can't remember the person who said it, is like, when technology disappears, I almost equate it to light in a way. The time you notice that light is absent is when it actually goes away. When it's there, you take it for granted. You don't think about the light when it's around you, but as soon as the lights go off, you begin to wonder what happened. And this is how I think about what's going on in this immersive technology revolution. More and more, because of the large data sets and the levels of interactivity, you have to think about this as a continuum of compute that is about what's happening in the client, what's happening in the network, what's happening at the edge servers, what's happening actually in the cloud. And Intel touches every piece of that footprint along the way. And we are highly motivated to continue focusing on more and more immersive ways for computing to be enhancing productivity and consumer experiences. I would argue we've always done that. We're just entering a new phase where it's becoming a lot more immersive. Next, talk about the usages. The thing that's mostly interesting to me about these usages is what's actually being transformed the most. Not that these usages apply to AR and VR, but there's a transformation happening. Think of it as in the context of cost or democratization. I was going to use the word scale, but I would say reach and accessibility. If you think about what's happened in industries like military or pilots training for aircraft, they've always had this simulation model in mind. And they do it for a number of reasons. One is it's crazy expensive to wreck an airplane. Don't want to do that. You want to simulate it so close to reality that by the time you get there, you're actually pretty good at it. I would submit those are the types of things that are actually happening. I'll use medical as an example. If you're thinking about surgery, you mess up in a surgery, that can be, that could damage someone's life. Even if you think about it in the context of, well, I'm going to just operate on a cadaver. I can't scale that. How many people can I go get access to that? How many times can I go redo that? Can I go back and find out what I did wrong? And amazingly enough, even cadavers cost a lot of money. But being able to do education and training is fundamental area that we are very, very, very focused in. And what I want to show you is what happens when we bring these technology kind of experiences together.
This is the biggest thing we've ever tried to accomplish. The Smithsonian's goal is to reach 1 billion people, and that's not a number that you can bring through a physical space. A virtual reality environment lets us do things that we as a museum are not normally capable of doing. It allows us to activate artworks, to transport people. Everyone should have this available to them. Through a partnership we have with Intel, the world will be able to access our collection at any time. It's a dream project for most museums.
So I couldn't bring someone from the Smithsonian with you here today, but I do want to introduce you to someone who is the inspiration and the drive behind what we did, what I think is truly amazing with the Smithsonian. I want to welcome Raj Puran on stage. Not only do I consider him a friend of mine and a colleague, but he's also the Director of Business Development and Strategic Partnerships. So Raj, come up and tell us what you do with Smithsonian.
Good to check. All right, cool. Good to be here with you. This is the first time I think you and I have shared a stage on the keynote stage.
We share backstage.
We share backstage, right? But Frank's been a big proponent for this project, and thank you so much for kind of giving us the green light to do that. And he's no longer responsible for my year-end review, so I can say that without guilt of kissing up to him.
Sincere, thank you.
Yeah, so look, folks, we did a project a couple years ago. We're now, we're looking at back late 2016. We approached the Smithsonian American Art Museum and said, what do you know about VR? And they kind of pointed us to a 360 camera they had in their Renwick gallery. And I said, hey, that's great. Can I show you something else? Will you allow me to come in and bring to you an experience or pull together an experience with you that'll be something very unique and very different? And they said, yeah, sure, come on in. And so, of course, we stepped into that museum there, the Smithsonian American Art Museum in Washington, D.C. And we were really there to create a Optane proof point. So we were there to show how Optane helps to drive rendering of really high fidelity experiences. We got there and we started walking around with then director Betsy Brown, and what we realized was it was a completely different ballgame from this point on. What we saw was there was this huge opportunity to go and digitize the museums, but add things to the museums that they normally couldn't do within the walls of the museum. But then we started to sit down and talk about what were the challenges? What are the real issues and the real problems? The Smithsonian has a mission, as you might have heard Nora speak about reaching people outside, or as we like to say, beyond the walls of the museum. And reaching 1 billion people is difficult. There are 19 museums. They're in Washington, D.C. They have about 30 million people that come through there yearly through those units. And reaching 1 billion people is not always easy. It's going to be really difficult, actually. So when we look at virtual reality and we look at augmented reality and bringing experiences like that to people that normally couldn't get there is super important. So that's really what the drive and determination for what we were doing was to create a proof of concept that said, hey, if we take a section of the museum and make it highly interactive, will that get people excited about visiting those museums through VR? So we created Beyond the Walls, which was our first proof of concept. We did that back in 2016. We actually have a holographic artist who's in there explaining her art as a director's commentary. We did that late 2016.
I missed that as a first, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the first time. And then what followed after that was, the wonderful work that Microsoft and others did around with Sir David Attenborough with the British Museum. So we're seeing this momentum where we're seeing museums getting really excited about being able to outreach. And that's what we did working with them. We brought in technology. We enabled the creators, such as Greg Downing, to do photogrammetry, along with Kevin Kane. We had partners at Framestore. We had partners with Sansar. So what's really great about Beyond the Walls was it gave us a taste of what could be done. We took that to the next level and created a project with Sansar where we can now have curators go into Sansar. We took Nora Atkinson, who you saw there. We've embedded her into Sansar, and she can do curatorial walkthroughs with other people inside of VR. She can stay in DC. Others can be all over the world. And they can go through No Spectators, which is the latest experience that's at the Renwick Gallery. Little fact about that, though. No Spectators goes away in January. Nobody will see it again because it won't be curated. It's now living evergreen inside of Sansar, and we'll also do other experiences based on that will be downloadable and so forth. So Beyond the Walls is coming up for download pretty soon. We've done some refinements to it. It's a neat experience. It was our first. If you go to sansar.com, you'll be able to see the No Spectators exhibit and probably go meet some other people inside of there, which is great.
Now, I know you don't have a VR experience to share with the audience here, but I think you have
I do have a video on how we created
to help
that.
them feel that better.
Technology is changing art.
Sansar is a social VR platform. In Sansar, people from around the world can come and see this art together, even though we might be on opposite sides of the globe.
I can, in my office, talk to someone all the way across the world and literally point to things, activate objects in the galleries. It's a whole new world.
Intel helps creators by building the underlying tech that enables all this stuff to happen. The Core i9 in particular has enabled us to iterate at a clip that we previously could not. When people have these more powerful CPUs, you get more performance, you can do more, you build faster.
There are so many amazing things technology can do for the art world that we can't do all by ourselves.
VR allows the same museum to be what museums would be if they had unlimited budgets, if they weren't constrained by the bounds of a single building. They can become infinitely accessible.
And that's the big thing for us, was to help the museums be able to create that type of content. They can't build any more buildings. You know, they can't, doing curations take time, so curators don't always get to get their projects out that they want to get out. But inside of VR, we can help them do that. So what it's become is become a great tool for them to create new spaces and new worlds and bring new curations into that stream. And so that's what excites us about how we can face these challenges with them, to help them work through that and bring technology forward that helps those VR experiences come out and be accessible to everyone. I think imagining people that can't go to Washington, D.C., that want to see that, be able to do that from their home or from the library or from the school, that's super important. And then enabling other commercial opportunities like that out of that world building and using photogrammetry and things to work in the space of simulation and training, education, the healthcare markets and so forth. We're just scratching the surface here. I think what you're going to see in the next year or two is just going to be really amazing coming out of the Smithsonian partnered with Intel. Frank?
Right. I
Thank
mean,
you.
just thank you so much. I feel your passion all the time you talk about this. I'm thrilled.
Thank you.
So Raj was talking about a partner that can be here today. What I want to do is bring on stage a partner that is here today. I want to welcome Vinay from HTC Vive. He's the VP Product Management and Ops for HTC. And he also serves on various boards and things like that and advises on AR and VR. Just want to bring you up on stage and say thanks for being able to spend some time with us today. A real partner versus a partner we talked to. Wow, thanks a bunch. Thanks a bunch.
Yeah, great to be here. I'm impressed they found a stage large enough for you and somebody else, not just once, but twice in a talk.
Oh, nice, yeah.
That was, quite,
you know,
quite
I was going to tell you, it feels like you're missing something today.
What do you mean?
You're missing wires. What's going on? You forget you're bringing wires?
Oh, definitely not. No, well, thanks to you guys. I think one of the biggest things that the industry has been looking for in VR is really to cut the cord, right? So the goal always is, how do you create lifelike experiences in a virtual environment? And one of the first things everyone wants to do is just really move freely. And so one of the hallmarks for the Vive platform was really room scale. But there's always kind of that one thing that you really wanted to do, and that was really remove the cord. And as simple as that may sound, it is inherently such a complex problem to solve. There's a lot of physics involved. There's a lot of technology that wasn't even quite available. And I think a problem so great, yet with a solution that's so elegant and simple, really takes tremendous amount of partnership. And that's why we were so stoked and excited to work with Intel on bringing something like this to market.
Yeah, very cool. Hey, do you mind if I show a video first before you go to the details about the product?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. What it's about, freedom of movement.
Yeah, no,
Very
for
cool.
sure. Yeah, so we just did pre-orders for the wireless adapter. Actually, we're going to be starting to ship this week. And we're leveraging Intel's WiGig technology for this platform. And I think one of the things you kind of look at in that video is that users, as they're coming into VR for the first time, they don't want to be taught how to use VR, right? And so one of the amazing things about the wireless adapter is they can get actually immersed in the experience and not have to have lengthy instructions of what not to do. I mean, that's really a big VR first. And the other thing too is we've seen a lot of great examples about LBE, enterprise, all these use cases, but when companies leverage and use technologies VR integrated into their workflows, they don't go back to the way they were doing things. And so they need solutions that are extensible. And with the WiGig technology and Intel's partnership, this not only works with the Vive Pro, it also works with the Vive as well. And that's critical for the industry to not be obsolete every time a new iteration or a new technology comes to play. And again, can't do that with a small company, can't do that with just a small idea. It takes a tremendous amount of R&D, effort, and partnership to pull that off.
Yeah, I've been thrilled to work with
you.
Thanks a ton.
Thanks so
I do
much.
appreciate it.
Great, thanks.
All right, let me bring this all home for us here. By the way, I was going to say, the pre-orders were all sold out, so I could not get in line for, he's not listening, I couldn't get mine, so I need to go wait my turn here. So I'm glad to see the sellout of this going on really well. You know, the whole idea behind why we're here today is that we're realizing technology's potential. It's been, since day one, we've invented compute, that we're enhancing everything that we do because of what we're doing with compute. We have an amazing set of platform technologies. We have an amazing set of partnerships. I mean, I could talk about 20 more proof of concepts with you today. I just don't have the time. But I will say this, and it's sort of the theme at the beginning. You know, Robert Noyce, one of the founders of our company, said, do not be encumbered by history. Go out and do something amazing. And I think that's exactly what we're doing here today. It's what you're doing that's amazing, and it's a partnership, and this journey together that's going to just really break us through on the AR and the VR side of things. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present my partners' perspectives and my perspectives as well about how we see the industry.